Welcome to The Explainer. Today we're tearing into one of Latin American literature's most brutal and politically explosive stories, Esteban Echeverría's The Slaughteryard. This thing is a raw, totally unflinching look at power, mob rule, and what it even means to be civilized.
Okay, let's just dive right in. This quote, it sets the stage perfectly. Echeverría isn't just telling us a story, he's basically putting us right there, making us witnesses to something truly grotesque. He's pushing the limits of what you think is even possible to show a reality that he felt was just too savage for plain words.
So our story kicks off in the 1830s, and we're not just in some random slaughterhouse. We're in a city that's on the absolute brink of chaos.
I want you to picture this. For 2 straight weeks, it has been pouring rain. Buenos Aires is flooded, it's Lent, and this is a city that runs on beef, but there is none, so people are starving. And you know who the preachers are blaming? Not the weather, no. They're up in their pulpits shouting that it's all the fault of their political opponents, the Unitarians, for making God angry.
Now here's what's so fascinating. This whole story is really an allegory for the massive conflict that's ripping Argentina apart. On one side, you've got the Federalists. They're in power, they've got the backing of the rural masses, the mob, and they're not afraid to get violent. On the other side are the Unitarians. They're seen as these educated, European-style elites who want a totally different future for the country.
So when the government finally gets a small herd of 50 cattle into the city, you can imagine it's a huge deal. And this is what brings us to the symbolic heart of the entire story, the slaughter-yard itself.
The scene is just a grotesque mess. Echeverría describes this rectangular field that's been trampled into a swamp of mud and filth. It's like a little model of the chaos and brutality of the whole country.
And he does not hold back with the imagery, okay? The ground isn't just muddy, he says it's watered by blood. He really wants you to see it, to feel it, even to smell this raw, brutal place where life is cheap and violence is just normal.
And this is where it all clicks together. The physical filth is directly tied to the political hate. Right there on the wall of the main building, you've got praise for the Federalist leader, and right next to it, this death threat. So yeah, the slaughter-yard isn't just for killing animals. It's basically the headquarters for a violent political machine.
All right, let's see how this whole thing builds. Because one animal, this ferocious bull they mistook for a steer, decides it is not going down without a fight.
The bull's escape is just pure, frantic violence. It smashes through the gate, a lasso snaps, and in this absolutely horrific moment, it decapitates a young boy. And the mob? They barely even pause. They chase the bull through the city, trample some poor guy in the mud, and finally corner it. And then this butcher, Montesieti, whose name literally means kill 7, comes in and finishes the job in the most brutal way possible.
So just as this bloody spectacle with the bull is ending, a brand new target for all that violence appears on the horizon. A young man, maybe 25 years old, very well dressed, rides up. And he represents every single thing this mob despises: refinement, education, and opposition to their regime. Instantly, he's the enemy. He's the other.
And how do they know he's the enemy? I mean, it's not like he's carrying a sign. It's all in the tiny details. His sideburns are cut in a U shape. That's a Unitarian thing. He's not wearing the mandatory red ribbon for the Federalist Party. He's not wearing a black band to mourn the leader's late wife. Even his saddle is English. To this mob, his very appearance is a political crime.
And that's it. That's all it takes. One shout, and the whole scene transforms. All that bloodlust that was aimed at the bull just moments ago, it now has a human target. And Montesieti, the butcher, fresh off his kill, doesn't hesitate for a second. He rides him down. So, the young man is captured and dragged in front of the slaughter-yard's judge. But what happens next isn't a trial. Not even close. It's a horrifying ritual of political torture, a public show meant to completely break him. The interrogation starts. And just listen to that first question. The judge doesn't ask, "What crime have you committed?" He asks why the man isn't wearing the right symbol of political loyalty. But this young man, he shows zero fear, absolutely refuses to back down. He calls their symbol a livery, like a servant's uniform, and says that's for slaves, not for free men like him. Faced with this spirit that he just can't break with words, the judge goes straight to the only power he really gets: brute force and public humiliation. The goal isn't just to punish him, it's to strip him of every last shred of his dignity. And right here, in what will be his last moments, the Unitarian makes his choice crystal clear. He would rather die than suffer the ultimate humiliation they have planned. His honor is the one thing they can't take from him.
Then, in this shocking, almost unbelievable climax, as they're struggling to tie him to a table, the sheer force of his rage and indignation just overwhelms his body. A stream of blood pours from his mouth and nose, and he dies. He cheated them of their fun by literally bursting with rage.
So obviously this is not just some gruesome story. Echeverría wrote this as a powerful, direct political allegory for what his entire country was going through under the Federalist regime.
Let's just break this down piece by piece. The Slaughteryard itself, that's Argentina, a place of filth and bloodshed. The judge and the butchers like Matadero, they're the Federalist government and its violent enforcers. That escaped bull, that's the savage, wild power of the Federalists. And the young Unitarian, he stands for civilization, for freedom of thought, and for defiance, even when you know you're going to lose.
And here it is, the story's final, most chilling point. Echeverría explains that this insult, barbarous Unitarian, was what the Federalists called anyone who was actually decent. So, if you were enlightened, if you were a patriot, if you simply had a good heart, well, in their eyes, that's what made you a barbarian.
And this leaves us with a question that's just haunting. This story isn't just about a specific conflict in 19th century Argentina. It's a timeless warning about how political power can twist language, twist morality, and turn virtue itself into a crime. It makes you ask, what happens when a society's moral compass gets so shattered that good becomes evil and evil becomes the law of the land?